Okay, this doesn't have anything to do with the change I'm going to talk about in this video, but can you imagine if Birds of Prey ended, we have formed the Birds of Prey, they go to stop a crime in progress being committed by Will Smith Deadshot, and they beat him up, and they all pose in their new costumes, and he says, so, what, is this some sort of Birds of Prey? Just, what a world. Okay, so here's the actual video. Birds of Prey. Characters. Action. Costumes. This musical number that seemed to be only for the trailers. This hyena that seemed to be only for the trailers. Other stuff, I'm sure. No, I'm kidding. Birds of Prey was good. I enjoyed it a lot. I think the beginning was a little messy, but the end really came together, and I found it refreshing and fun, and I enjoyed almost every character. Almost. I think there was one character that didn't quite work, for a couple of reasons, and the crazy thing about that character is I think the character could have worked much better if you just changed a couple of details about that character, including the character's name, which isn't a small detail, but makes a big difference. So I want to talk about Birds of Prey, the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn, or Harley Quinn : Birds of Prey, or whatever it's going to be called when you watch this video. I'm going to talk about the one character that I don't think worked, how I think that character could have been changed, and how that would affect the rest of the movie. But again, I want to make it very clear that I overall quite enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. So if I could make one small change to Birds of Prey, it would be this. Cassandra Cain should not have been Cassandra Cain. She should have been a different character. Who, you ask? Well, I will explain. But first I want to talk about Cassandra Cain as a character. See, I've talked before in videos about the importance of comic accuracy. Now, I'm not saying that every character in the movies needs to be a direct adaptation of that character from the comics. I think there's a lot of instances where that works very well. Zemo and Vulture, two of my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe villains, are pretty far from their original comic counterparts, and yet they are maybe my two favorite non-Justin Hammer villains in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, making changes is great, but I think we need to split up the discussion about Cassandra Cain into two parts. First, I want to talk about the opportunity cost of using Cassandra Cain in this movie, and then second, I want to talk about the shortcomings of Cassandra Cain in this movie. So if you're not familiar with the term opportunity cost, it's usually used in economics, and it's described as the loss of potential gained from other alternatives when one alternative is chosen. So for instance, if you go to the store and spend $25 on a shirt, you cannot spend that $25 on a hat. Hats are expensive these days. I'm not a hat guy, I really like my hair, but I understand that sometimes hats cost $25. And when they do, if they cost the same as the shirt, by buying the shirt, you are not buying the hat. And the opportunity cost of that shirt is the hat. Why am I going into this? Well, by using Cassandra Cain in this movie, we can't use her in another movie. Either this movie will be a huge success and we will get this version of Cassandra Cain in the future, or this movie will be a big flop and Warner Brothers probably won't bring Cassandra Cain into a movie for a while just because they don't want people to be confused. Although, to be honest, this universe is pretty confusing, so they could swing it, but I have a feeling they won't. But why is using Cassandra Cain in another movie important? Well, Cassandra Cain is awesome. In this movie, she's just a kid, a pickpocket from a broken home who gets caught up in the story and doesn't do too much of anything after that. In the comics, Cassandra Cain is wild. The closest thing I can compare it to in movies is kind of like X-23 from the movie Logan. Cassandra Cain is born the daughter of Master Assassins David Cain, who trained Batman, and Lady Shiva, specifically to be a living weapon. David Cain raises Cassandra in solitude, just teaches her how to fight, doesn't even teach her how to speak. And then when she's 8, she's taken on her first mission, kills a person, realizes that she's actually killing a person and this isn't a game, and then leaves, ends up in Gotham, becomes a hero named Orphan, and then a member of the Bat family, eventually taking on the moniker of Batgirl. She is a super deadly master assassin, a very cool character, and a very specific addition to the Bat family. Besides Damian, almost all of the members of the Bat family are just normal kids. Dick Grayson is a trapeze artist. Jason Todd is caught trying to steal hubcaps off of the Batmobile. Barbara Gordon is Commissioner Gordon's daughter. Your members of the Bat family are traditionally brought into this life by Batman, where in this case, Cassandra Cain has a whole different set of skills and a whole different set of issues, so putting her into the Bat family creates an interesting new dynamic. One that we will probably not be able to explore for a very long time because of her association with this movie. Like I said, that's not a guarantee, but I doubt she's going to be a high priority, considering how she wasn't some breakout star of Birds of Prey anyway, which gets to my second issue. In Birds of Prey, Cassandra Cain is pretty nothing. She doesn't have too much personality. I don't blame the actress for the performance or anything. I think the writing doesn't give Cassandra Cain much to do. She's a cliche, parents are arguing, she does petty crime, gets caught up in all of this craziness, and spends most of the movie trying to poop out a diamond. She's a very passive character. She might as well just be a diamond, or a diamond in a box that Harley Quinn cannot open. You could totally make a version of this movie where Harley Quinn's hyena Bruce ate the diamond, and we have more or less the same situation. A thing that Harley Quinn does not want to kill is being pursued by Black Mask and his thugs, and Harley Quinn has to try to get the diamond out of the thing she does not want to kill before a certain deadline. Otherwise, the thing she does not want to be killed will be killed. So considering you can swap this version of Cassandra Cain out for a pet, I don't think she's worth being part of the movie, partially because it just takes time to establish her, and this movie could use a little bit more time to flesh out characters like Black Canary and Huntress, and partially because of the opportunity cost of using her in this movie, and what we probably won't be able to do with that character in the future. So then that brings up the question, let's say we're not using the hyena, although again, I think that kind of works, but there is a more interesting character that can have that diamond. And this character is, spoiler, that's it, the character's name is Spoiler. If you're not familiar, there's a character in the Batman comics named Stephanie Brown. She is the first female Robin, if you don't count Carrie Kelly from The Dark Knight Returns, but at least in the mainline continuity, Stephanie Brown was the first female Robin. She also went on to be Batgirl, but before all that, she went by the superhero name Spoiler. Stephanie Brown should be doing everything Cassandra Cain does in this movie, because she is the perfect character to tie all of these other characters together. So I'm going to explain why I believe Stephanie Brown could take the place of Cassandra Cain in this movie and make it a far more engaging story. I'll explain her comic backstory a little bit and how I would weave that into this narrative. And I think you can keep a lot of it. Stephanie Brown can live in Canary's building. She can be about the same age as Cassandra. She's just a normal child, she's not a master assassin. And she can also have troubles at home, although hers can be a little different, specific to her character from the comics. We'll find out, once she is arrested, that Stephanie Brown goes by the name Spoiler. Her father was a character named the Clue Master, who was a real guy who's pretty much just crappy Riddler. He committed crimes in Gotham and left clues. Stephanie Brown found out about this and started spoiling his clues, calling herself the Spoiler, so that he got caught, went to jail. So in this version of the movie, all of that happened. Stephanie lives with her mom, but Stephanie's mom works all the time, and Stephanie just hangs around the building, doesn't do all that much. They're also scraping by because a lot of their property was seized when Clue Master was arrested. So Canary gives Stephanie a couple bucks, and that's all we see of her for a while. So then I would change the way they get the diamond. I honestly can't remember how Victor Zsasz and Black Canary went and actually physically picked up the diamond. I think they were just given it. I think it's a little bit more fun if Victor Zsasz has to steal the diamond, so Victor Zsasz can pull off a quick bank robbery. Nothing crazy. Canary can be in the car as the getaway driver, and Zsasz goes in and gets this diamond. This will also give us an opportunity to just show Victor Zsasz being Zsasz, a psychotic murderer. But before Victor Zsasz can escape with the diamond, the crime is foiled by a young female vigilante. She sees that the diamond is what Zsasz is after, grabs it, and then as she's leaving the building, she is caught by a bunch of police officers. Zsasz escapes, Canary escapes, But now, this vigilante has the diamond. So she gets arrested, brought in, sees Renee Montoya. That's where Renee Montoya can recognize her. Oh, you're Stephanie Brown, you're Clue Master's kid. You shouldn't be getting into all this vigilante stuff. It's dangerous and you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. She can explain someone else was robbing the bank and she was just trying to help. But let's say Stephanie doesn't completely trust the cops either, so she doesn't give them the diamond. We'll find out that just like Cassandra in the original Birds of Prey, Stephanie swallowed it. And this is where we'll get the rest of her backstory, and where she will name herself the Spoiler. So then she is charged. Victor tells Black Mask who they're looking for. Black Mask has some cops on the inside. They give him the information of who they're looking for. Black Mask sends all of his hitmen to come kill this girl in the police station. Now, Canary recognizes her from the building, like she recognizes Cassandra in the original movie, explains everything to Renee Montoya. Harley comes into the police station, rescues Stephanie, and they both get out of here. But in this situation, Harley kidnaps Stephanie. She is going to knock Stephanie out. Why? Well, this is the thing that I find the most interesting about introducing Stephanie Brown in the case of Cassandra Cain. This Stephanie Brown is pure do-gooder. She would not work with Harley Quinn. Even if there are other people trying to kill her, Stephanie Brown will not work with the Joker's ex-girlfriend, especially after she sees Harley Quinn kill a bunch of guys at that police station. But Harley is able to tie Stephanie down, and Stephanie doesn't have that much martial arts training, so it's not like she's going to be able to beat up Harley Quinn anyway. But Harley Quinn does not want to see this child killed, so she's going to do the same thing, fill her with prune juice, and try to get the diamond out naturally. But this dynamic between the two characters becomes very interesting. Instead of Cassandra Cain, who more or less just does whatever Harley Quinn wants, Stephanie Brown is going to disagree with Harley Quinn. She is going to challenge the character that Harley Quinn believes she is, and Harley Quinn is going to challenge the character that Stephanie Brown believes she is. That is what creates tension and keeps things interesting. It's part of why I think in the middle, Birds of Prey kind of dips, because a lot of it is just Harley Quinn and Cassandra Cain going from place to place and agreeing. Harley Quinn should be disagreeing with Stephanie Brown. I think this difficult kind of protect the kid mentor-mentee relationship is done very well in movies like Logan, also Deadpool 2. They are different characters on different sides of the law that don't like each other but have to work together. That is interesting. So rest of the movie, largely the same until we get to the end. The rest of the Birds of Prey now fight to protect Stephanie Brown instead of Cassandra Cain. I don't think Stephanie Brown should be the one that kills Black Mask. I think Harley Quinn should take that on for her. Harley Quinn can say, Stephanie, you don't have to kill this guy, but I did get you that ring you always wanted. And she tosses the ring to Stephanie. It's the pin in the grenade, and then she tosses the grenade at Black Mask. Black Mask explodes. Harley realizes that Stephanie Brown isn't as stupid and naive as Harley thinks she is, and she wants to maintain that level of innocence and not force Stephanie Brown to do something she can't walk back from, so that Stephanie can, in the future, be the kind of hero she wants to be, because Stephanie has changed Harley's opinion on superheroes. Still not a big fan of Batman, but she understands that there's some out there that are a little better than others, and maybe being pure bad isn't quite the right thing to do. And that's what I like about Stephanie Brown, because this version of Stephanie Brown can be explained as a heroic, selfless vigilante who is forging her own identity after getting her supervillain father thrown in jail. And that character can be a foil to the other 4 Birds of Prey. Harley Quinn starts the movie loving crime, she spends a little time with Stephanie, and then she turns into an anti-hero. She gets what all the cape stuff is about. Stephanie changes Harley. Canary looks out for herself, but then she sees Stephanie trying to protect others, and at the end of the movie, Canary joins the Birds of Prey and decides to help others too. Huntress is a loner, believes she is defined by her family and her quest for revenge, whereas Stephanie Brown was in a similar situation, but she was able to move on and do something else that she believed was meaningful with her life. So Huntress, seeing Stephanie, can help Huntress develop her own identity. And then Montoya, in the beginning of the movie, works within a broken system. She is trying to fix it, but Stephanie is a vigilante, and she is able to show Renee Montoya that sometimes you have to work outside the law, and Renee Montoya becomes a private investigator / vigilante with the Birds of Prey. And on the other side, working with all of these characters can teach Stephanie a little something. She's a little naive when the movie starts. She thinks everything is black and white, good and bad. But as she spends a little more time with the evil clown lady, Stephanie realizes that maybe it's not quite that simple. Maybe there is nuance. Maybe some of these criminals aren't quite as bad as the other ones. And she becomes a little bit more pragmatic. All of the characters in this movie need to learn from one another. The Birds of Prey come together and change one another for the better. Otherwise, she might as well just be a hyena. And if we have Stephanie Brown instead of Cassandra Cain, at the end of the movie, Stephanie Brown, as spoiler, can join the Birds of Prey. So we can have Huntress, Black Canary, Renee Montoya, and Spoiler working together. And that means Harley can leave on her own. Harley's journey in this movie and her ultimate goal shouldn't be to find a kid or a friend. It should be to become comfortable being alone. Find herself, be her own person. So I think it's a much more interesting end for Harley if instead of saying, these are the new people I work with, or this is the new person that I'm mentoring, to just say, I'm gonna be me for a while and figure myself out. That's what's important to me. I think that's really valuable, and I think that was a point this movie could have made, but it didn't, because this version of Cassandra Cain wouldn't have made any sense on the Birds of Prey. And then in the future, if we ever want to do a Birds of Prey sequel, we can introduce Tim Drake, the Robin that Stephanie Brown has an on-again, off-again love affair with. That could be a lot of fun. And we can introduce the real Cassandra Cain as some super crazy mercenary in Gotham who's killing lots of people and the Birds of Prey have to deal with. That is another fun plotline. All I'm saying is, swapping out the version of Cassandra Cain that we got in Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn, or Harley Quinn Birds of Prey, swapping that character out for Stephanie Brown not only leaves Cassandra Cain open to be used in future movies the way the character exists in the comics, and the coolest way that that character can be part of a story, it also gives you an opportunity to throw in a character that can be an interesting foil for all of the other characters in Birds of Prey, and can help them grow and become better people as a result of them all spending time together. And that is the bare minimum of what a good team-up movie is supposed to do. Oh, and one more thing. Talking about all of the things I really do like about Birds of Prey, one of my favorites is the costuming. I am so impressed with how they managed to give every individual character a distinct style, and how memorable all of those styles were, especially Black Mask, who, don't let me forget about this, will make an amazing Halloween costume for me, and something I can cosplay as at New York Comic Con, so unless something else captures my imagination, there's a very good chance you will see me at Comic Con in an amazing suit, with fantastic little gloves. Anyway, why am I talking about this? Well, let's back up. This video is sponsored by CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream is a terrific subscription streaming service where you can watch thousands of documentaries and nonfiction titles. A subscription to CuriosityStream is a great deal. It's $2.99 a month or $19.99 for a year. And now, if you subscribe to CuriosityStream, you also get a subscription to something called Nebula, which you've probably heard me talk about before. It is a streaming service created by a bunch of creators you already like, including, hopefully, me. Not hopefully I am a creator of it, hopefully you already like me. Anyway, so what can you find on Nebula? Well, there are exclusive videos, like I made one about the One Punch Man intro sequence and what that does to illustrate Saitama's internal depression and how he's dealing with that. There's a video by Sage from Just Right that talks about the Batman the Animated Series intro title sequence, which is very interesting. And we're going back to the fashion thing, there is a new original documentary called Edith, The Framing of Tony Stark. It's a super interesting documentary about the process that goes into the many, many, many different sunglasses and glasses that Tony Stark has worn over the course of his 9 Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. It talks about the process of choosing them, creating them, and how something so small like the sunglasses Tony wears ever so briefly in Infinity War became the driving plot device behind Spider-Man Far From Home. If you're like me and you love the Marvel Cinematic Universe, it's very interesting, and also if you're like me and you love sunglasses, very, very interesting. So right now, if you go to curiositystream.com/Nando for unlimited access to the world's top documentaries and nonfiction series, you also get a subscription to Nebula for free. And on top of that, if you enter the promo code NANDO, N-A-N-D-O, when prompted during the sign-up process, your membership is completely free for the first 30 days. It's an amazing deal. I think you're really going to dig it. As always, I have to give a huge thank you to everyone who continues to support the channel on Patreon. You guys are the best. You want to see your name up here, get access to videos early, and watch the new patron-exclusive monthly whiteboard videos. Every month, a cool new tier of patrons called the Illuminati. Ooh, scary patrons. The Illuminati, anyone who pledges over $5 a month, suggests topics for this video, then they vote on one, and then all of the patrons are invited to a live stream that you can watch on the Patreon later. And this month, February's live stream is, and I'm so happy you guys did this. This is the real one. It's going to be How Could Justin Hammer Be the Next Big Bad of the MCU? I have a very fun idea I think you guys are all gonna dig. So go to patreon.com/NandoVMovies. If you become a member of the Illuminati, you can vote on future whiteboard videos. If you're a patron, you can watch them live and go back and watch old ones, like how I would introduce the Fantastic Four into the MCU. It is a lot of fun. You guys have no idea how much I appreciate it. Also, make sure to listen to the podcast, Mostly Nitpicking, where every week me and my co-hosts, DJ and Diggins, pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. We did an episode on Birds of Prey where I talked about this a little bit, so it's a fun way to see what I'm thinking about potentially for a future video. And finally, follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is just @NandoVMovies. It's where I post about videos and podcasts, and where I say, listen, I give up. They all floss. Sonic the Hedgehog flosses. Harley Quinn in the cartoon flosses. Shazam flosses. They're just all gonna floss now. I used to hate the flossing, but now, I've given up on it, especially after Ted Danson tried to learn to floss on the set of The Good Place. I think that might have been where I turned around. I'm sure there will be a new thing that I can be annoyed by in the future, but for now, floss all you want. That's all I got. I'll see you next time.